Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining today's session. Refresh, update, and stage your way to more listings and five-star reviews. My name is Amanda. I'll be your moderator for today. And guys, this is going to be a great session. We have some really awesome guests with us today. And this session is all about your EXP solution, Curbio. Curbio, we are the home readiness specialists that are helping agents win more listings, close more deals, and deliver just a great experience for you and your clients, all without the hassle of managing projects yourselves. Before we dive in, I'd love to introduce you to our guest for today. Matt Siegel is the co-founder and chief strategy officer here at Curbio. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And we also have Amanda Wickersham. She is a senior project manager at Curbio based in the Seattle area. Amanda has over a decade of experience managing home improvement projects. And really, project managers are the heart and soul here at Curbio and really make the magic happen. So we're excited to have Amanda here to speak about her role as a project manager. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, we have Ed Lane, who is the managing broker and team lead of the Ed Lane team at eXp Realty. And Ed has nearly 4 decades of experience in the real estate industry and a background as a general contractor. So Ed's really bringing some unique perspective and a wealth of insight to this conversation in both the real estate and the home improvement world. So Ed, we're really excited that you're here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
So let's kick it off, Matt. We would love for you to share a high-level overview of what Curbio is and why it was created and how we support real estate agents.
Sure. Well, Curbio is a residential general contractor, but with a very unique twist. We're probably the only general contractor in the country that focuses exclusively on preparing homes for buyers and sellers. In fact, 100% of our business is referred to us by real estate agents. So that's all we do. And because of that, we're frankly particularly good at getting projects done on time, on budget, and making sure that agents look good.
And everyone here on the call knows that competition is more fierce than ever before, and agents really need to go beyond their, traditional playbook and just simply handling transactions for their clients. And that's why Curbio has really been a major value add for thousands of agents. But Matt, why should EXP agents in particular really be paying attention, and why is it important for EXP agents to know about Curbio?
Well, there are a few reasons. Everybody knows that in order to get the best results for your client, to get project or to get the home sold quickly, to get the best return on investment, you have to help your client prep the home. In fact, the most recent data I saw suggests that 97% of real estate agents in some way help their clients prep their home. But of course, nobody likes to do that because it's very time consuming. And in fact, even agents who have their own go-to contractors that they use, it's still a hassle because the agent typically ends up being the one who has to schedule the contractors, reschedule the contractors when something goes wrong, source the materials, which is a real bother, the materials, the fixtures, the appliances. And then they have to manage the project to make sure that it stays on track, to make sure that everything's done according to spec. And it's just a terrible hassle. The unique thing about Curbio, even compared to other general contractors, is we completely manage the project. Agents don't have to manage any aspect, but they are able to monitor every aspect of it. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You're kept in the loop the whole time, but you don't actually have to manage any of the work. And maybe the final reason is it's just a great way to build your brand. I mean, you do a great job for your client without having to do the work yourself. It helps you win referrals, win five-star reviews. It's just a win-win. What I love about Curbio is it's a win-win for everybody. It's great for the agent, it's great for Curbio, it's great for the client. In fact, it's great for the brokerage too, because it helps build the brokerage brand.
Absolutely. And I love this quote from Alicia. She says Curbio makes her look like the it agent, the rock star agent. There's nothing stronger than walking into your conversations with clients saying, hey, my brokerage has done their due diligence. They've vetted this partner and they're going to do everything for us from start to finish. So thanks for sharing that. Ed, over to you. As an expert in the real estate space, you have a front row view on what's happening in the market, how buyer expectations have shifted, the different types of enhancements that help clients get the best possible outcome from the transaction. So we'd love to hear what's the market like right now, what are buyers looking for, and what types of updates do you usually recommend to your clients?
Great question. I could probably talk for an hour about this, but I won't, I promise. It's actually what I'm referred to as a surreal market. And by that I mean it's a seller's market by definition, months of inventory definition, but it's behaving like a buyer's market because of interest rates, because of fear over governmental policy, tariffs, whatever. For that reason, we are seeing homes languish on the market, and we are seeing homes and listings that are getting multiple offers and bidding wars and escalator clauses and all the magical stuff that you get in a typical seller's market. The difference between the two is if it's a turnkey home, move in ready, nothing needs to be done, they will come to it in droves. And I know we've got an example today in this conversation of one that blew my mind, and I've done this a lot, but that's what Curbio does. Curbio gives me the opportunity to go and talk to a seller about generating the best opportunity. No, obviously no guarantees, but certainly the best possibility of at least getting top dollar, if not a bidding war and getting above top dollar. So, my favorite feature of your service is it allows me to be a one-stop shop. I go into a house, I meet a seller, I'm assessing the condition of the home, but I'm also assessing the motivation and timing of the occupant, right? And I can bring them a cash offer, I can sell it as is, or I can sell it as repaired. And when I present all three options, they stop shopping. Like in their mind, they need a different broker for each. They don't. I've literally had customers say, okay, I get it, but which one do I get you with, Ed? And I go, Jack, I got bad news, brother. I come with all three. And,
It's a triple threat.
yeah, and it just cements me as the solution for them. And then it's just a matter of determining which is the smartest approach. And to me, that's a numbers thing, right? I always tell people, let's put the options together on a spreadsheet side by side. One of them will jump off the page at you, and that'll be the way to go. And if it's Curbio, great. If it's cash offer, great. If you want to sell it as is, great. I can do all three.
Absolutely. I love that you refer to yourself as a full service agent because that is what sets you apart from everyone else out there.
Exactly.
So,
And
um,
there's one other thing I want to touch on just because Matt brought it up,
yeah.
and it's Amanda. Like when I go out and compete, we're not the only people that do pre-list rehabs, right? Moving concierge is sort of a category now. But Joe Blow from XYZ, Screaming Chicken Realty, who's never flipped a home for profit, has no experience in what to recommend or what finishes to pick. I do. I've been a GC. I know how to flip homes for profit, but every EXP realtor has Amanda. They don't need to be Ed Lane with his experience. And when you are experienced like I am, you're even more powerful and compelling when you meet with people because you've got you and Amanda making recommendations and suggesting what to repair and what not to repair.
I absolutely love that. I thank you for sharing that because that's really a perfect actually segue to this question for Matt is, I'm sure everyone here on the call has had their fair share of home improvement projects and they've worked with different contractors, but How does Curbio differ from working with a traditional contractor? And Matt, can you talk a little bit about the specialized expertise around the real estate transaction here?
Sure. Well, because preparing homes for real estate transactions is all we do, we've had years and years of experience learning what agents need in order for to have successful transactions. So it starts with a proposal. We provide fixed price proposals, and we do it very quickly. There's no waiting a week to get a proposal, as is so typical with other contractors. We source all the materials for you so that the agent and the homeowner don't have to go out to Home Depot or wherever they choose to get their materials and appliances from. We do all of that as well. Typical contractors, even general contractors, don't actually do that. They don't typically source the materials. Once you source the materials, they will manage the projects. But that's something that even the typical general contractor won't do. Another important aspect is our technology. One of the things that that owners particularly don't like is when there are gaps in the work schedule. When someone doesn't show up for several days, they start to think that they've slipped through the cracks. And we make sure that that doesn't happen by with the technology that we use. It schedules all of the trades in such a way that there are a few gaps in the schedules. And then finally, it's the scope of services. In fact, you've now shown a list here. If everybody takes a look now, you'll see a list of the services that we do. We do everything. But it is the special touches, I think, that we're probably most known for. And it's those things that lead to successful real estate transactions and that earn you the referrals. And it's what keeps agents coming back again and again for every project.
We do far more than kitchens and bathrooms and paint and flooring. What are those types of things that typical contractors may overlook that are important to buyers? And how does Curbio specialize in those types of services?
Some of it can be summed up as curb appeal. We do landscaping. We replace. I mean, it can be little things. We replace the doormats. If the front door is looking a little worn, we will paint or refinish the front door. On the interior, I mean, real little things like making sure that all of the light bulbs have been replaced, making sure that all of the wall plates have been cleaned or replaced. As I mentioned earlier, if we don't need to replace them, we can reglaze the tiles, we can reface the cabinets. One of the things that's actually pretty popular these days is installing Ring doorbells and Nest thermostats, making sure that the gadgets are up to date. So it's just a combination of things that we've learned over years that agents demand and that typical contractors just don't encounter very often.
Yeah, and tell us about staging. Is that a service that Curbio offers?
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. In the very beginning of Curbio years ago, probably the number one question we got was, "You guys do staging?" Because I guess it was something that the contractors didn't often, and most don't today. So early on, we began offering staging, and it's and by the way, this is real staging. This isn't the virtual staging, which is, I think, falling out of favor these days for obvious reasons. But yeah, we do staging. I mean, there are some projects where that's all we're called in to do. I should make that point. Curbio has no minimum or maximum project size. We'll do inspection repairs, we'll do staging, all the way up to full-blown makeovers.
That's a
Awesome. Thanks.
huge niche, Amanda, not to interject, but
Oh, please.
that's a huge niche, like a huge differentiator for Curbio. The most common competitor that we as realtors face have either a $50,000 limit or a 3% limit, right? They're basically saying we'll risk what we might make. This is all 100%. Well, what's justified? Is there going to be an ROI if we go to a higher number? Then let's do it. And if there's not, then we don't do it. Like I'd much rather work within the constraints that Matt's team puts in front of me than just know that I can never do a kitchen. Like 50,000 is not enough to do a kitchen. So that's a huge differentiator.
And again, as you with your background in construction you bring such a unique perspective to this conversation. How did you get your listings ready to go on the market before Curbio? And how does Curbio help with the whole process?
I did it. I was providing a moving concierge service to my clients before I joined EXP with my own money. So
Wow.
thank you, Matt. I'm no longer the bank of debt.
I'll tell you, Ed, that was so the way Curbio sort of got started. I will confess the idea came to me when I was in the shower one day. And it's because even before we started Curbio, I had a lot of friends who were either brokers or real estate agents. I still do. And invariably, when I'd be in social situations, they always would end up talking shop. And there were a couple of themes that came through, and I thought, I bet there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way. So by far the overriding one was they hate managing home improvement projects. You know, they would talk about, oh, I had to go out and buy a refrigerator for this. But the other thing was my client didn't have, didn't know any contractors. They didn't know where to source material, so I ended up doing it all myself. I went out and bought all the materials and everything, and I had to, get shipments. So that was really what triggered the launch of Curbio, was the fact that agents were that I knew were complaining about how time consuming it was, and often at their own expense they would go out and buy all the materials because it was just easier to do it that way and get paid back at closing.
I can give you another related example too, that we have one right now that you guys are working on. The owner is a contractor and was adamant, I can do all this myself. I can do all that. And we never argued that he couldn't. We just said, you have this finite time frame. Are you sure you can get it done in the window of time you have? And finally, literally last week, he stepped out of the way and Curbio's crew came in. And so, the point I would make to the audience today is just be open-minded to pursue whatever angle makes the most sense for the customer. And what you're going to find is the vast majority of them would rather say yes and get out of the way and make more money for simply saying yes.
Yeah, what Ed said was a really good point. Curbio's relationship with realtors is we're in it for the long haul. This isn't a one-shot deal. And because of that, we are very mindful of the fact that Curbio isn't always the answer for every client. There are times where selling as is makes sense, given the client's circumstances. There are times where it makes sense to take a cash offer. What we encourage agents to do, well, first of all, agents don't sell Curbio. That's not their function. Agents are advisors. They are consultants. They are advocates to their clients. And in terms of the relationship with Curbio, the one that we have with all of the agents, it's a matter of simply saying to the client, if you're considering fixing before you sell, or in the case of a buyer, before you move in, we have a relationship with a contractor that we often refer to clients. Would you like me to get you a free, no obligation proposal to consider? And that really is the extent of the involvement. And the client in some cases will say, yes, I would. In some cases, no thanks. But it's important to understand that in order for us to, again, 100% of our business comes from agents. And because of that, we need to make the agents look good. We need to make every transaction a success. And in order to do that, we recognize the fact that there are at times other solutions. So our role is to provide a proposal, but at that point, it's really up to the client and the agent to decide what's going to get the best outcome.
The way I like to think about it is, traditional GCs, they're making their promise to the project. We make our promise to the agent to be their partner, like you said, Matt, for the long haul. So to continue on with this, I know Matt shared a little bit about the materials catalog, but Ed, I would love if you could share a little bit about how Curbio helps you with the design process and with the material selection.
Got a bunch of experience, but I rely on my wife for the design eye, right? And Amanda comes in knowing what options are available and can make recommendations. And Amanda, you can vouch. I don't think I've ever disagreed with you on anything, have I? Like,
no, not materials anyhow.
yeah, my mission, and this is like the best sort of characteristic of this is the homeowner usually wants to get their hands in there, and I have to constantly coach them on. It's not important that you like it. It's important that the masses like it,
Yeah.
right? Like we want to have the broadest appeal, and that's Amanda's skill. Like she can come in, and in fact, one of the houses you're going to show today was dated with brass fixtures everywhere. And it didn't make sense to replace them all because we couldn't prove that that would command enough money. But there were some very specific, lamps and chandeliers that needed to be replaced. And Amanda said, well, what about brushed gold? And you have some in the image right here. That was brilliant. And I didn't even know about brushed gold. I mean, I've heard of brushed nickel and others, but I was like, perfect. So we kept the budget in a reasonable level, and you'll hear what ended up happening later. But those are the types of recommendations that most agents, they don't have that knowledge or skill set. And that's why someone like Amanda is so important to the process.
Hey, Amanda, have you ever had the situation, I hear about it from time to time, where the client is convinced that what my home needs in order to sell is this, imported Italian marble, because I really love imported Italian marble, and obviously that's going to get me the best return on investment.
Absolutely. I mean, these are conversations that I have probably 50% of the time. There's a lot for a homeowner, I think, to go through. There's attachment that they have to the property, to the home. They have live their life there with their families. And so they're attached to all these things. Either they want to keep them or they want to do an interior design project of a material that they saw. And a lot of it in getting them on board is explaining to them exactly what Ed said, is that we're trying to appeal to the masses. We want as many people coming into this home and looking at it as possible, and that's in your favor. So once I help them kind of detach from what they think needs to happen in this home and show them examples from past projects that we've done, they always come on board after, and they're happy. And making those decisions together also helps them detach as well. So they are ready to send the house off to a new family. And, it's a project that Ed and I are both proud of.
Amanda's bedside manner, she uses the term detached. It's literally a grieving process. And she's so good at recognizing and acknowledging that they loved the way it looked, or they had an attachment to the purple wall, or whatever it is, helps them feel heard, works them through the 5 stages of grief and gets them to acceptance, and then boom, we're on our way. So thank you for being so kind and patient, Amanda.
Oh, thank you. It's actually one of my favorite parts, is that communication with the homeowners and kind of understanding each project is so different, and each homeowner and agent's needs for the property are also different. So the challenge with each project is getting to know what that is, what needs to take place, and how I can help facilitate that to make it successful for everyone. And yeah, it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to work with homeowners.
And Amanda, you're on the ground working with agents across all different types of projects and homes. And so would love to shift gears, and if you could share a little bit about your background and what your role. I know we touched on a ton of things already that you help agents and their clients do, but what is the role of a Curbio project manager?
Sure. Well, a little bit about me. I was raised in a construction family. My father was a general contractor. So I grew up on the summers flagging and shooting grade and pounding nails, believe it or not. I get that question a lot. Why are you in construction? And the truth is at first I didn't want to be. I went into interior design for 10 years first. And I just honestly was drawn to the construction part of it. I really like materials and a challenge and not just aesthetics, like what's going on behind the walls. And you know, Curbio gave me a chance to learn so much more about that. And it's just a great field to be in and to help people, specifically in this model. You know, listings, renovation to listing it's so rewarding watching a home go across the finish line. So I find it very fulfilling. So it's a great project.
From the initial walkthrough with your clients all the way to the final walkthrough and kind of everything in between. Take us through how you're supporting agents like Ed.
Sure. Well, when I get an inquiry about a property, the first thing I will do is reach out to Ed and we'll have a conversation. And I always want to get the agent's feedback first, on, you know, what their goal is, what they're needing to see. I'm looking at the home, I'm looking at drywall cracks, I'm looking at all the little things that buyers may see as red flags, although we know, you know, drywall cracks are not a red flag, but to people who don't do this every day, it could be. So I always want to include things like that I look for as an option in my proposal. So I always, at the walkthrough, I'm taking measurements, I'm getting everything I need to provide a proposal after the walkthrough, which I'll provide within 2 business days after the walkthrough. And then I will run the proposal through Ed first and have him take a look at it. And, you know, because he's my eyes and ears, and you know, there may be things on there that may not make sense, like from an ROI standpoint. He's the expert on that. And then I'd like to share the proposal after I get Ed's feedback with the customer and Ed, generally in a Zoom call. So that's kind of the beginning phase of it. Generally, we go through a couple revisions of, you know, let's say they want to be on the market in a month. Well, or it's a budget constraint, you know, so we listen to those type of things and we could tailor the proposal based off of those needs as well. And so once we get them kind of we find a happy medium for everyone, we sign the contract, we can be on site working within a couple days. And my goal is to really just take it off Ed's hands, and I check in with him often, but I just really run with it and schedule the vendors and the material selection as well. We've talked about that. I, you know, handhold them through that, give suggestions. And so I'm tracking the materials. I'm making sure they arrive on time. I'm making sure that they're not damaged. I'm making sure the vendors are on site working, and not just working. All the vendors that I work with, I've worked with for about 8 years. And so I trust them and we have a great working relationship. And so I am checking in with them on a daily basis on the projects. I'm on site a couple days a week as well. And so at the same time, I'm also communicating this on a job page that is created once a customer signs a contract. So that is one of the greatest tools that we have here at Curbio. It's a great snapshot for Ed and for the homeowners and any of our back-end teams that are also working on the project as well, to see where we are throughout the entire project. I'm posting updates there. And what's great about it is the information goes to all parties at the same time. So Ed, the homeowner, is getting the same information at the same time. If something sensitive comes up, let's say a leak happens or something like that, I will always call Ed first and not just spring that on him in the app. So I think communication is probably the biggest component to making this a successful project for everyone.
Yeah, and I really love, Amanda, sorry to interject, but I love the relationship between you and the agent, because it really sounds like through every step of the way, you're really protecting Ed's reputation to his clients and making sure that Ed is represented well, and you're really approaching this as a team. And I love that.
Absolutely. It's truly a partnership, and I'm there to help him, right? And so in order to do that, communication is just key, and building that professional relationship, which we have over time. And that takes time. It's their business, and it's a big deal. And I understand that, and I respect that, and I love being a part of it as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You bet.
And, the app that you're seeing here on your screen is really intended to keep the agent in the driver's seat, keep the agent and their client informed every step of the way without having to do the hands-on project management. So let's bring everything to life here and share a real life example of a project we did in the Seattle area. And this is a special one because Amanda and Ed worked on it together. So Ed, can you tell us a little bit about this listing and the situation your client was in?
Yeah, so this one was actually kind of easy to manage because they had moved out already. It was an as-is list price of 1.7 million. With a $41,000 project, we felt we could list at 1.8. So that was a 120% ROI, right? And it was, again, because of Amanda's brilliance, that the light fixtures were the eyesore, being brass, that no longer became the eyesore because we swapped them out for brushed gold. You can't really see it in that staircase image, but that's a 25-foot ceiling with a giant, hideous brass chandelier hanging in it. And then the after has one more like you see in the lower right with the dining room. That's brushed gold, and so was the entry chandelier. So we made the thing look great. They did a bunch of flooring, some paint. It had another bonus room with what, a 20-foot ceiling, might have been 25 as well, but that angled bonus room, like it just required a lot of work, not expensive work, but a lot of work to make it so that a buyer doesn't walk into the house thinking, oh my God, I got to first do this and that, and I want a discount for this and that. That all goes away, right?
Amanda, anything you wanted to add about the work that we did here and some of the design trends and selections we chose here?
Sure. So this is a pretty transitional home. And you want to update fixtures, but you also want to stay true to the architecture of the home. And so, like we talked about, the cheapest way to update that grand foyer, and you can see the dining room light, you can also see right at the entry when you walk in. So the best solution was just to update the finish to matte gold and change the profile to something that was more, a little more modern, and updated the space, because there's brass throughout the house, and it wasn't needed for us to go through and change all the hinges and the door handles. And, and sometimes we do that. But in this instance, it wasn't needed. We just needed that wow factor, not to scream old brass, but a classic matte gold timeless piece, which it did. Also, there were some in the back of the house, there are some dark hallways. And so we lightened it up with lighter paint in some areas. And also in the room, you can see that's kind of like a den off the dining room there. We lightened that up as well. We got rid of the vinyl, the old sheet vinyl was in all the bathrooms, the utility room. We updated it with LVT. You can see that in the bottom left-hand corner. And, just that alone, just changing the material, just really changes the space and breathes life into it. So,
And Ed, when you are able to deliver such a great experience for your clients and even greater results for your clients, does that help you grow your business? How would you say having Curbio in your back pocket helps you take your business to the next level?
This family that's on the screen right here referred me the house 2 blocks away that I sold 6 months later for another $2 million commission. So yes, absolutely. And I'm very deliberate about pursuing testimonials and reviews and staying top of mind with my clients. That's all part of the game. But any of you watching this conversation should recognize that these people are raving fans. So absolutely, Amanda, I lead with the program. If your house is already turnkey, like I have a slide dedicated to Curbio in my listing presentation. And if your house is already turnkey, I just giggle and say, you guys don't need this. Your house is beautiful. Let's move on. But the vast majority of houses would benefit from Matt's service.
That, let us tell everybody here if they have a listing or one coming up, can you walk everyone through how Curbio works and how to get started?
Sure. Our process is really very simple. So step one is to request a proposal. You can do that in a number of ways. I find the easiest way is to just go to the Curbio EXP proposal page, which is curbio.com/exp. When you do, there's a picture of it there on the screen. When you do, you put in the zip code of the listing and your contact information, and very shortly, Amanda or whoever Amanda's counterpart is in whatever market you happen to be in will give you a call and say, great, when would you like me to meet you at the property so that we can walk through and discuss the services that are required. We will then get you a proposal, typically within a day or two, depending on the complexity of the work, but it's very quick. We'll get you a fixed price proposal and just answer any questions, make any changes to the proposal that is required. And then after the homeowner signs the contract, that's pretty much it as far as the agent's involvement in terms of the management of the project. I'm curious, Ed, do you use the app to monitor the project and keep track of the progress?
Oh yeah, Amanda's great at uploading photos kind of every step of the way. So I kind of calculate, when's it worth my paying a visit or not, because some of these, she covers a big territory and so do I. So if I can see that the driveway is now done, now it's time for Ed to stop by and say hello. That's great.
Great to hear, because when we came up with this concept that what agents need is somebody that they can rely on. They know they're going to do a good job. They know that they're going to manage everything, but there had to be something to go hand in hand with that, and that is they still need to have complete visibility into what's going on. And that's why we put so much effort into developing our app, so that the agent and the client were completely in the loop on everything that was going on with the project without having to actually do the work. And I'm glad to hear that our hope was that the project manager and the agent and the homeowner would all work together as a team to get the project done. And it sounds like that's exactly what you've done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
One last thing, just because I know we got a whole audience of realtors who maybe have never done this, some are trying it, maybe have done a couple. There's nothing better for me as a realtor than seeing an exchange between Amanda and the customer that I don't even have to chime in on, because she's saying, well, here's some examples of finished colors or quality or whatever tile. What do you and I'm on the perimeter observing, and I can chime in if I want, but I don't have to, because stuff's just moving forward without me, which is music to my ears.
Great. And you can do what you do best, win more listings and close more deals.
Exactly.
Matt, we talked about the app. If you could share just real quickly, outside of monitoring and tracking projects, what else can agents do with the Curbio app?
There are three really cool features of the app. We covered the real-time project tracking. Two other things are instant estimates. We're not talking about proposals. Proposals are detailed and they're fixed price, they're guaranteed price. But sometimes you want to just give the client a rough idea of what the type of services that you're recommending will cost. And you can do that through our app, going through, picking the services that you think are required, and you'll get an immediate, fairly accurate estimate of what the final proposal will be. The other thing which people really love is you can get 24 hours, 7 days a week, a estimate for inspection repairs. And the way you do that is you simply upload the inspection report and get back a estimate of what the costs are going to be. So that's a very popular feature of the app.
You know, sometimes you get those home inspection reports and they're countless pages and you don't know, how to make sense of it all. And so you get that inspection report pricing all for free for agents within 24 hours, which is great. And Matt, in closing, can you share a little bit about question we get all the time? Where is Curbio available? Can you share a little bit about our current footprint?
Yeah, so Curbio is in dozens of markets from coast to coast, 23 markets, I think, at the moment. And we're looking to open new markets. The way we decide on new markets is really driven by our partners. And I know that at this point, as I've had conversations with folks at EXP, basically we said wherever the business is, we're happy to follow. So I would say to any agents out there, if there are agents in areas that you don't see on the screen here, let us know.
As Matt mentioned, the markets on your screen, we cover about a 40 to 50-mile radius of the city center of each of these metro markets. And the beauty is that we have project managers like Amanda in every single one of our markets, and they are from the market, they are boots on the ground, overseeing everything, so you don't have to. Well, wanted to thank everyone here for participating and being here. Huge thank you to our guest speakers. And I wanted to share just a couple of closing remarks about how you can get more information about Curbio. So as Matt mentioned, the easiest way is head to curbio.com/exp, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. You can request a free Curbio proposal. We'll be in touch within a business day to schedule an on-site walkthrough. You can simply learn more about Curbio. And for any team leaders here, you can also request a presentation. We can have one of our local project managers come and speak to your team, whether it's in person or virtual, and share an overview about Curbio and how they can use Curbio for every listing. And we also have a ton of marketing resources all available for you to customize and use as well. So head over to curbio.com/exp to get started. And in closing, I'll leave you with a quote. This is from Veronica, and her team have adopted Curbio. And I love that she says that she's always looking for ways to take the friction away from her sellers. And that's Curbio. And so if you're thinking about your next listing, we're really here to help you make every listing a success, whether they need some minor repairs or major renovation and everything in between. Ready when you are. Thank you again, Ed. We can't thank you enough. This has been a great conversation. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you all for joining today. Have a great day.